Hey everybody. I just wanted to kind of make a quick video going through what I feel like are some important parts of the syllabus. And then normally, if you were here in person, you'd have like a syllabus quiz at the end of the week. Instead, since we're just doing everything remotely, um, I'm gonna have some kind of designated stopping points in this video on EdPuzzle with some questions, and that'll basically take the place of your quiz score. And then you'll have an opportunity to give me any questions that you've got as a full group shortly thereafter. So I'm not going to insult your intelligence by reading everything aloud to you. I think, especially given that you've got the full week, that that everybody should be able to do that on their own. I did want to draw your attention to a couple things um, in this first section. So obviously my email address, and same with pretty much every teacher here. It's just first initial and last name at wheatlandhigh.org. And the phone number here, if you did happen to call the school and you wanted to talk to me directly, it's extension 142. I'm not going to pick that up all the time, obviously, because I'm following a bell schedule just like you should be. So, but if you call between 8:15 and 9:15 before school starts, or between 2 and technically 3:02, but realistically probably 3:30, 4 o'clock even. I'll if it rings, I'll pick it up. And so for in some cases that might be the quickest way to contact me. There's a lot of other contact info options listed further down. Course description, lots of fancy language here, but let's be real. It's an English class. There's not gonna there's not gonna be anything about this course compared to like your freshman year English class that I think you're gonna find is really surprising or really out of left field. Um, Over the course of the year, if you look at our course outcomes, um, basically it's going to be set up pretty similarly to how your freshman course was, just kind of building on those skills. Um, where it says write several essays to build college and career readiness, again, kind of like your freshman year, it's going to be lots of little things, but then like one kind of extended writing project per quarter, basically. Um, Textbooks and other materials. So this is kind of an important part, and hopefully we will have had a chance to kind of talk about it beforehand. But everybody should have the Literature and Language Arts fourth course book. That is the one that's kind of the teal cover. Um, that's going to be our main source of text, at least for the foreseeable future, for most of the first semester. And so, as long as you have that and its smaller grammar book component or counterpart, you should be good. When we get into the fall, we'll be looking more at novel length texts. First one, A Long Way Gone, is actually a memoir. And then, depending on if we're still in distance learning or not, we'll probably read Of Mice and Men or Lord of the Flies, both of which are classics, or depending on how things go, we might have time for both, but we'll just kind of see. I am going to try to give you guys PDF and audio files for anything that we're reading on Google Classroom as part of any assignment portal. So just be on the lookout for those. And just be aware that everything we're talking about here, we're going to do the best we can to follow it, but it is kind of subject to change. At this point, if I was a doctor, I'd be making a lot more money and I'd have a lab coat and a stethoscope. And obviously, that's not the case. So I have no idea how long we'll be like this. And so, it's one of those things you guys probably know. You have to kind of plan like it could be really short or plan like it could be really long. You just don't really know yet. Materials suggested. So materials we're kind of going to use very loosely in this sense because obviously this is not the same list for distance learning that we would have when we were in person. So the number one thing that I kind of recommend you do, especially kind of in this first week while things are just kind of getting started, is get yourself a dedicated, as quiet as you can make it, as clutter free as you can make it workspace. Ideally, some kind of a desk or a part of your kitchen table, or a beanbag chair in your living room, whatever it is, but something that can be kind of your space to go to consistently, where everything that you might need is nearby and within reach. Um, Obviously, you need something that connects to the internet. The only thing here, just make sure if something does go wrong, like with your Chromebook or something, please make sure that you let us know quickly. Obviously, this is one of those things where your internet is your lifeline. So if you're having issues, I know the school still has a few like hotspots that they can lend out if you get started and find that there's just not enough bandwidth to go around your household. So please, if there's something like that that's going on, reach out to myself, reach out to Mr. Olson or Miss Edwards, and we can help you out and hopefully get it fixed before things get too serious in the coming weeks. This one we'll talk a little bit more about probably in the coming weeks, but it is state law that we see you on camera. I don't really know exactly why that is. Again, if I was into politics, I'd have a much nicer shirt and a lot more money in my pocket, and that's not the case. So I don't know what the why is. It's not really the decision I would have made, but it is what it is. So on that note, I recommend that you have some kind of like a solid blue or black background. I think the school is working on getting some instructions and some potential ones like in your extensions opened up. I'm not really sure what the progress of that is. And obviously, I'll give you, some time to get it figured out. But just be aware, I am going to want to see you. So, make sure that, you're wearing pants, and that if there's anything in your workspace that you wouldn't want me to see that it gets moved. And yeah, I mean, obviously, just use your common sense. I know we're distance learning, so this might seem kind of stupid, but just trust me. I know the kind of person I was in high school and how I would have approached this. And just based on that, I'm trying to kind of give you some directions to avoid some pitfalls. So I do recommend that you have pens, pencils, highlighters, something that you can use for physical note taking to yourself. A lot of the terms that we go through here, they're kind of recurring, and it's something where if you're just kind of looking at the slides and listening to me talk at you, I'm going to try to build in as much as I can to actually, give you opportunities to practice stuff and not have it just be, 30 minutes of me talking at you. But there will be some things where just the actual act of like physically writing it down will help you learn it and internalize it and make it something where you don't always have to be looking up, in your search browser what it is we're talking about. This is where it gets a little bit more important. So, grading policy. Basically, what you need to know in here is that anything that is a 0.5 and above will round up to the nearest grade. Like if you're at an 89.5 or a 79.5, anything that is 0.4 and below will round down. It's pretty much standard for any class here. So just be aware of that. Obviously, a grade lower than a 60% is not going to pass, and that will end up having to be made up later on down the line. Also, just be aware, these are your grade categories, how they're weighted. Basically, 35% of your grade is major writing and projects. That's kind of like those quarterly writing assignments that I talked about that are, kind of involved and have multiple stages, multiple drafts, and are usually at least kind of a week at a time where we're working on them. Uh, Things like unit presentations, responses to literature, little things like that would be what would go into your major writing and projects. 35% is daily assignments. So basically, daily assignments, that's like classwork, and a more normal world, something like a notebook check, discussion participation, things like that. 15% for tests and quizzes. Most of those will be on Google Forms or Go Formative or EdPuzzle, at least for the foreseeable future, till we're all back in person. Um, and then 15% is in a category for summative assessment. That would be stuff um, like in the spring where when we read Lord of the Flies, something like the final exam for that, where it's kind of the same between classes. Your final exam for the semester, things like that. Just kind of moving on here. Um, Homework, classwork, and attendance policy during distance learning. So here's kind of what you need to know here. Normally, like if in an ordinary year, I wouldn't assign really any homework. It would just be kind of case by case stuff that um, was started in class that some people finished and maybe you didn't. That was the kind of stuff that would become homework. Um, Obviously, this is not the ordinary year. So basically, kind of what you can expect is that I'm kind of budgeting that there will be like an hour to 2 hours of work per week that takes place when we're not like meeting live. That's outside of those 30 minutes that are on the bell schedule. Um, Obviously, this is a learning experience for everybody. So perhaps more so than some years. Like if you are looking at all the things that you've got to do and you're like, this is getting kind of out of hand, like I don't know if I can meet this deadline and still maintain my sanity. Please do actually reach out and be like, hey, like this is all that we, because usually when this kind of stuff happens, it's like it's not just you that's thinking that, right? It's it's something that probably 30, 40, 60 other people are also kind of dealing with. So do reach out and let me know, and we'll try to kind of make some accommodations if we need to. But just so you kind of know how I'm coming up with that number, let's assume optimistically that we are back in person and it's sooner rather than later. I don't know if you guys looked at the bell schedule before the distance learning bell schedule was released, but basically the new schedule is 47-minute class periods. And so if you just kind of assume best case scenario that we actually get 30 minutes of class out of our virtual meetings, um, the average, over a week's about 17 minutes a day. If you multiply that out for a 5-day week, you get 85 minutes. And so that's kind of why I'm like, an hour to 2 hours is probably what we're looking at for the week. And by week, I'm calling a week, 8, or I guess for you guys, 9:15 on Monday to 9:15 the following Monday. So a 7-day week. Um, Classwork, just kind of be prepared that when we do meet virtually, it's gonna be kind of varied in terms of what we do. Some of the things that we might do, I'm going to try to avoid it being too much of me just talking at you, sustained. But some of the things we might do would be read through a text together, kind of with everybody on their webcam, and stop at a few strategic points to answer questions and things like that. Um, Occasionally, there will be things where like I'm sharing my Google Slides directly to you, and then kind of narrating through them as we go along, kind of like what would be the equivalent of like taking notes in class. Just be aware that there will probably be times, depending on how long this lasts, where I'm actually going to want you to like work with a small group of your friends and work on kind of a combined task. And so there may be times where like I generate a meet code for you or help you figure out how to do that. And then I'll come in and like check in with you for 5 or 10 minutes of that 30 minutes, but might not be on there the whole time. And then there will probably be some times where I give some directions, and I'm on here kind of in your corner like I am right now, you know, to answer any questions. But that you might just be kind of working independently on whatever it is we're doing. Attendance. So just be aware. Everybody is taking attendance. Ideally, you do need to follow the regular school day bell schedule. Um, and if you, for some reason, can't, you need to make sure that you reach out and at least give us some kind of indication that you're alive and well, so that we can actually mark you present. So if you look here, some of the ways that you can do that. So honestly, like if let's say I post something and you're not necessarily there on the online meeting, but you open up what the assignment is, you feel like you understand, and you complete the assignment. Obviously, when something gets submitted, that's a sign that you are engaging in some way. So if that's the situation, don't feel like you necessarily have to do any of the following steps. But obviously, it's good to be cautious in terms of making sure that you get credit for what you need to. Email is always an option. Going on Google Classroom and just giving me a quick comment on whatever we're working on. Sorry I overslept today or whatever the case may be, is fine. We do have a remind code, and I'll share that with you as part of some of the other things we're doing this week. Do have a Google Voice number here, so if you want to bypass all of that, you can. Just give me a text at that number, and I can text you back if you need anything. Or you have the option of the office hours, and for those, there will be either an open Google Meet where if nobody comes and I'm just sitting here watching myself on webcam, so be it. But if you do have a question, you can just kind of join the meet and drop in. And then also that would be a good time, like if you want to call that 142 extension where because it's loud and annoying and blinking that I will go answer it like right then. That's an option for you as well. Late work. Just a couple things that I want to make sure you're aware of here. So basically, the rule for late work in my classes is everybody gets a mulligan. So everybody gets one assignment anytime during the semester where it's kind of no questions asked of whatever happened. I mean, obviously, you can tell me what happened if you want. But basically, you get one assignment per semester where, as long as it comes in within a week, if it's your only one, it'll be graded without any penalty because, let's face it, life happens, right? Anything beyond that one pass, like let's say that you're asleep at the switch a little bit, and there's something that's due this Friday that you don't turn in. Let's say you turn it in, Tuesday, Wednesday of the next week. That's your one. Doesn't get penalized. All's good with that one assignment. You got to watch yourself though, because once you've used that pass and it goes into Aries with a note that's where your late work pass was used. Then everything else becomes 50% credit that it starts at. And so obviously, if you're constantly turning things in late, that's going to make it a lot harder to maintain a passing grade. That being said, do communicate with me. Like we said, life happens. If I know what your situation is and you're like, hey, this is what's going on, can't get it done by Friday, can probably have it done by 8:15 on Monday when you come back to work and check your email. Is that okay? 99 times out of 100, I'm going to be like, yeah, that's totally fine because I know what your plan is. It's not actually missing work. It's just not there yet, but I know kind of when to expect it. So just keep that in mind. Um, Also, just be aware, occasionally there'll be extra credit, but it's on a case by case. I offer it because I have it ready to go, or I have an assignment that I need to try out kind of as a favor for something else later down the road. So I will let you know when there's extra credit available, not the other way around. Class rules. So basically, where we're at with distance learning, obviously things are a lot different than they were. But my basic rules, where if you just kind of try to follow them generally, be nice, work hard, and communicate honestly. You can't go wrong, and obviously there's a little bit more here in terms of what that means. But I honestly think it's all pretty common sense. It's behave like a good person. Make the best of the situation we're in. I know it's not easy for anybody, and just let me know what you need. Those are kind of the main rules of thumb. Last but not least, there's some stuff down here at the bottom. I do want you to show this document to your parents. In theory, they're going to get it in their email too, but Aries sometimes does some weird stuff. So one way or another, make sure that that they've seen this, and then you can just go ahead and obviously, we're not going to have a super fancy scrawly signature here, but if you can just indicate that everybody's read it, and then there is a uh, box down here where you can write me a note about anything else that you feel like I need to know that hasn't been asked of you already by the time you actually um, watch this video and do the syllabus review. Stuff like, maybe somebody's email address has changed, or there's a change in living situation that might not match contact info, or maybe you had a really bad experience in your last English class that you felt like was kind of unnecessary. Whatever the case may be, use it or don't, but I definitely will read anything that's written here, and try to fix it if it's a problem, or take it to heart if it's just like a piece of advice or a little fact or something like that. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. I hope that that it didn't put you to sleep, and that you passed everything on EdPuzzle pretty easily. And we will talk again soon.